Hello, everybody. Welcome to and welcome back to my channel, Book Time with Elvis, with me, Mark, and I'm joined today by the irrepressible Randy Ray from the Literate Texan.
Irrepressible.
Irrepressible. Can't keep
Whenever
him down.
I hear the adjective irrepressible, I think of that movie. Oh gosh, it was the one in the concentration camp where it was the guy who was trying to get his kid to laugh the whole time.
It's a Beautiful Life, is it, or something? Life is
Yeah,
Beautiful?
something like that. Yeah. Anyway, that's that guy. Benini was the actor's name. I've always thought of him as irrepressible because he got so excited at the Oscars that year.
Yeah, he's jumped over the seats and stuff, didn't he?
Now that's irrepressible. You won't see me jumping over any furniture, Mark.
Well, maybe not on your videos, but who knows what you get up to when the rest of us aren't watching. So
it's not jumping over furniture, I can promise you that.
So how's it going, sir? I think before we get into the topic at hand, we'd be remiss if we didn't discuss a little bit of what we've been reading recently, probably. So.
Oh, well, it's going pretty well. This is a great time of year because we've got Summer of Trek going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I just finished reading I'm on an A.C. Crispin kick. A.C. Crispin wrote multiple Star Trek novels, I think in the 90s. But one of the novels was called Sarek. And it was great. It was an adventure where Sarek and Spock and Kirk have to team up. Spock's mother dies during it. Was a really good novel. And then there was also I think it's called Yesterday's Sun and Time for Yesterday, which was a sequel. In the penultimate episode of Star Trek, I don't know how familiar you are with the original series, but McCoy and Spock wind up stranded 5,000 years in the past on a planet. And, Spock becomes lovers with this woman while they're there. Because since it's 5,000 years in the past, Spock's kind of adjusted to what it was like to be a Vulcan 5,000 years ago, which was very different. They definitely engage in some of their lustier activities. So in this novel, the premise is that he had a son, and they saw it in a cave painting, and so they want to go back and get to know the son. And I don't want to get in anyway. So Spock's got a son named Czar living 5,000 years in the past, and that was popular. And then they made a sequel to it. So yeah, 20 years have passed, and what's going on with Czar now as compared to Spock and McCoy and the rest. And then I'm also reading a book. It's a novel called Lowtown, and I can't remember the author's name, and I don't have it in front of me. Lowtown is a dark urban fantasy, but it's not like set in modern urban times. It's set in it's almost like a Thieves World book. I don't know if you remember the Thieves World anthologies.
No.
Well, they involved a city and wizards, but it's all pretty dark and grim. And main character in this one used to be the warden, basically in charge of what passes for the FBI in a magical medieval setting. But now he's a crime lord, and there's been a murder in his neighborhood, and he's trying to solve that.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's what I've been reading lately. And then there's probably something else that I'm forgetting. Oh, I'm also reading The Time Machine for Rocket Summer.
Oh, nice. The Time Machine's a good one.
Yeah, I'll probably finish that today, and then the next one I've got planned for Rocket Summer. I'm planning to do 7 books in 7 days for Rocket Summer, because a lot of those pre-1939 science fiction novels, a lot of them are really short to begin with. Yeah, so 7 in 7 days is kind of something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, that's a good thing. We have a few comments before we move on. So Aaron's here.
All right.
Hello, Aaron. Ariane's here as well. Hi, all.
Hey, Ariane.
Farah's here from Bookstalgic. Hi, everyone. Hi, Farah. Kevin. Hello, everybody. About 750 pages into the Captain's Table. Very good Trek stories for the most part. It's a collection of short stories and novellas. Okay, that sounds
I've always wanted to read that.
Helen's here. Hi, all. Still at work, working hard, but I'm a big believer in luck too. It feels like a Friday now, but good to have a live on a Wednesday. Well, I'm on summer holidays, so I'm a bit more flexible now, so I can be live more often. I'm sure you'll all be really eager to hear that. Farah says, I read yesterday's Sun too, Randy, and enjoyed it.
Great. Yeah, it was a neat book. Is it definitely different? The flavor of those Star Trek books from the 80s and 90s is very different from what they're like now.
Yeah, I'm not a big Trekkie. I mean, I did read one maybe in the first year of Book Trek, and I can't remember. It was one actually Steve recommended. It was something about falling from the sky or falling heavens. I can't remember, but
Strangers from the Sky, maybe?
Might well have been, yeah.
If he recommends you any Star Trek books with the word Phoenix in the title, don't read it.
Okay. Well, I think there's not much danger in me reading. I don't read a lot of science fiction unless it's something like The Time Machine or whatever. But and I mean, I remember watching the original series as a child. The reruns. Of course, ran. Not the original like you probably watched, but
No. I watched reruns too.
Okay, so it wasn't still going
child
on
of the 70s here.
All right. Okay, then yeah, fine. So I guess basically when Steve was middle-aged, they were on probably for the first time, right? Yeah.
Back before he was 28.
Yeah, when he was 28 the first time around.
Yes.
So we have also Call Me Tomorrow. Hello there. Lou G's here. Hey y'all. Hello, howdy. And Media Haven as well. Hello everyone. So yeah, this is really nice. My own reading.
Let me just say something to everybody in the comments.
I'm sorry.
Okay, my channel is at Literate Texan. So if you guys want to get more of me, that's where you can find me, at Literate Texan. And I am willing to beg for subscribers. I'm begging you, please subscribe to my channel, please.
Well, it does seem like there are a couple of new people here, at least. Maybe not new viewers, but new commenters. So yes, I was.
Some of the names I don't recognize. Yeah.
Not to say, yeah, do head over to the Literate Texan and subscribe to Randy if you aren't already. He's just hit 2,000 subscribers. You're probably over that a little bit by now. So congratulations for that, Randy. Welcome to the club.
Funny how that goes. When you first hit that number, you got to wait because some of them might be bots. Some of them might unsubscribe, So you don't want to announce you've got 2,000 subscribers and then someone comes to your page and sees 1999.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know how far I am behind. I shouldn't say this. I don't know if he's watching. He might be. But I'm very close, I'm sure, to catching up with Sean at the moment. Now, of course, I shouldn't capitalize on his absence and his illness, of course. But, I did tell him I was coming for him. So, yeah. I think,
how many subscribers do you have now?
I think I have 2,410 or something.
Oh, okay, great. So I'm catching up with you.
I don't know what he's got because it just shows 2.4, I think, but it doesn't show you the exact number. We must be fairly close. I would imagine. Sorry. So yeah. Well, you've had some new subscribers already. You've got Media Haven just subscribed to you as well as Kevin as well. So,
thanks, guys. Yeah. I'll try not to disappoint.
So before we move on, I'll just mention a bit about my reading in case anyone's interested. I've got a few audiobooks on the go due to Summer of Sport. I'm not going to talk about those yet because they've been on pause a little bit for at least a week, but I will definitely go back to them. But I started reading a book and the author's name escapes me, but it's called The War of the Lord, I guess. War of the Lord. It's about the early Puritans in North America around New England and their interaction with the local indigenous population. It's very, very good. Very, very interesting. It's a fascinating subject to me because it's the early part of American history that I really don't know so much about. Obviously, like many people, I probably came to it more through The Crucible, maybe by Arthur Miller and Pocahontas or something like that. But this is pretty much from the foundation of Plymouth Rock and the Mayflower, so 1620. And actually, any Americans watching, I would be rather interested to know that although other colonies existed, like Roanoke, which I think failed, Jamestown, I don't know if that survived, and then others, why is it that it's the Mayflower and these Puritans or Pilgrims or whatever you call them, why is it their arrival in America is the one that is celebrated? Do you know, Randy, off the top of your head? Or
because of Thanksgiving?
It's just because of the Thanksgiving thing that they link it through.
Honestly, I don't know. That was just a wild guess.
Yeah. Because as I say, I guess if Roanoke failed, then that might be a reason why it's not, remembered. And Jamestown, I'm not sure. I only know a little bit about Jamestown through growing up in Bermuda, and the history was linked with Jamestown because the people on their way to Jamestown got lost in a hurricane and shipwrecked on Bermuda. So, yeah, but I don't know. They don't educate in school. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm in England. We don't really talk about it, I suppose. The Mayflower is a good story. Yeah, it is, but I don't know why it's that one is it the foundation myth, if you like? Is that the story they settle on as the foundation of America? Because it's quite amazing. It's 102 people went, and like after the first year, half of them were dead. So it is quite amazing they actually did survive. So that's one of the books I'm reading, and I recommend it if you have an interest in early American history. It's very, very readable and very interesting to look at. And the other one that I'm reading at the moment is for my Patreon book club, but also because I wanted to read it for Private Eye July, and it's The Case of the Reincarnated Client, which is the 5th book in the Vishpuri series, which is a charming kind of Indian cozy mystery series, which Karen, I believe, you said you finished. I just got the notification shortly before we came on, so hope you enjoyed it. I'll read it properly later. And hi, by the way, Karen, sorry. Aaron, part of it is that during the 19th and early 20th century, history books used in US schools were written by New Englanders. Is that true? Oh. Sorry, I meant they don't explain that in American schools either. Okay, yeah. I have a book on Roanoke around here somewhere. I think it's The Secret Token. So that's what I've been kind of flirting with the last couple of days and really enjoying. So Randy, now how did you get to your a milestone of 2,000 subscribers? Was it down to luck, do you think, or was it down to sheer hard graft on your part?
Well, I think it's like anything else. Luck plays a factor, but there's a certain amount of skill involved in it too. Not that I'm particularly skillful as a broadcaster. This is all new to me. I didn't realize just how new to me this broadcasting thing was until a friend of mine and I went to Cross Plains to Robert E. Howard's home, which is a museum now. And we did several, short bits that we were going to edit into, basically like a mini 10-minute documentary about Robert E. Howard in the house. And it was absolutely terrible. I've never put it together. It's never been displayed because I'm just not good at that sort of thing. They learn how to do that sort of thing in college in the radio. Well, they don't even call it radio, TV, film anymore. I think they call it media studies now. So, but, a lot of it has to do with just posting content. And then the other part of it is becoming ensconced into the community. Yeah, a lot of it has to do with networking here in the community. I was lucky. I made friends with Steve Donahue fairly early. And, if Steve Donahue mentions you, he's got a fairly large audience, and they're usually willing to hop on the bandwagon if he suggests somebody new. But then I also got to know you and Sean Standfast and Jim over at Mystery and Mayhem. There's probably a dozen or so booktubers that I got to know fairly quickly and fairly well. And we do things collaboratively together. And I think that's where a big, big part of my subscriber base has come from, the 2,000 that I have. And I'm really lucky to have 2,000 subscribers because I'm not a consistent publisher, which is a skill unto itself, I think, being a consistent YouTuber and posting videos on a regular basis. Just, I have health issues that have prevented me from being as consistent as I would like. But I look at some of I'm a believer that success leaves clues. And so I look at who I think do the same kind of thing I do, but see the kind of success that I would like to see. And I think of maybe Criminale. And I look at his channel, and I mean, he's regular as clockwork. If it's Thursday, you're getting a book review. And if it's Saturday, you're getting a weekly wrap up of what he's read. You know what to expect on days of the week.
I have to ask though, Randy, was he always like that? Or was it?
I think so. I think he was consistent from the very beginning.
I was going to say, did his success feed his consistency in the way he ran his channel? Because he did blow up like really just extremely suddenly over pretty much that one video.
Well, it's like, of course, he's had several videos, I would say, went viral. One of the videos doesn't have much to do with reading at all. One of his most viewed videos is a video about how he doesn't drink anymore.
Yeah, but I think these went viral after the tipping point, if you like. I think it's easier, probably, isn't it, to go viral again after you've been viral the first time
I think
around.
so. Yeah, I think. Well, YouTube only has the tools that it has in its algorithm. It can only look at certain things. Like it can tell what the click-through ratio is on your videos, and it can tell how long people watch your videos. And if one of your videos checks off a couple boxes, then goes viral and it's real popular, by virtue of people really like clicking on it and then they stay, then your future videos are more likely to be viral too. It's got to be a point in your favor in terms of the algorithm. But this algorithm couldn't possibly be that complicated. Certainly not as complicated as the algorithm for Google, which, takes into account a lot more factors than YouTube possibly could. Just let's face it, the YouTube algorithm can look at your thumbnail, can look at your click-through rate, can look at the description tag, and it can look at the transcript of the video, but you don't have a lot of control over, like, on a web page that you're trying to get the search engines to rank. You can embed multiple images on it. You've got captions, alt text. There's all kinds of factors on a static web page that just don't apply here.
But do you think the way the algorithms run within YouTube, do you think it would have been, I don't know, heightened or changed somewhat by artificial intelligence now?
Well, in a sense, it's always been artificial intelligence, but artificial intelligence isn't very intelligent, is what I've discovered. I've been using Chat GPT a lot, and I got real excited because I was using it to keep a book log for a while. But then it started having memory problems. And instead of just saying, hey, that's not something I remember and it's not something I can pull up, it just makes stuff up, hoping that I wouldn't notice. Yeah. And it's like, well, yeah, you know what? So it's January 9th. Or it's July 9th, and I've got this book log, and I ask it to pull it up, and it's bringing up, books that I haven't even purchased, much less read, like The Left Hand of Darkness. I don't have any objection to read it, but it's not on my list. It's never been on my list. Chat GPT just made it up.
No, it definitely has limitations for sure.
Yeah, but I'm sure that, and I don't know what psychologically goes into getting a high click-through rate on a video other than, a compelling title or headline tends to work. And the only way I know how to make a headline or a title more compelling is to add a number to it. That's an old trick, but people love it. They love numbered lists, and they have forever. If you in the 1970s, when I would go to the grocery store, you'd see Cosmopolitan magazine and it would have an article, 13 ways to please your man. That number 13 got people's attention. People like to read that sort of thing. They call it listicle content, and it's really popular on YouTube, I've noticed.
Yeah, there's a lot of listings and top 10s and all this kind of stuff. That's for sure. That is for sure.
Individual book reviews, nobody watches those. I take that back. Individual book reviews are different because they get consistent, steady traffic over time. You don't see them come out of the gate and go viral like, a video I've got coming up is called 50 Books You Should Read. I'm sorry?
I would say, Randy, having said that, though, correct me if I'm wrong, but technically the video that did send Criminale over his viral edge was a book review, wasn't it?
I don't know.
It was the most disturbing read, I think. It's the book he and his community were able to bring back into print. I might be wrong. I don't know if anyone else knows it, but I'm pretty sure if I remember rightly, it was technically him talking about this disturbing book he had just read, which, was to all intents and purposes a book review.
Well, I don't know, but yeah, I don't know.
But
because I don't know what
that can be an outlier, right? For sure.
Well, and I don't know what I've seen the most disturbing book I've ever read, or I know that it's a huge, huge page view getter for his channel, but I mean, it wasn't positioned as Do you know what the most disturbing book was? Do you know the name of the book?
I can't remember. Something, was it Heather Morris or somebody was the author? I mean, maybe we
But,
could actually have a look.
well, I mean, it wasn't marketed as a book review.
No.
You know, like if you go over to Better Than Food, you know, all he does is book reviews. He doesn't do listicles. All he does is book reviews, and he's got a huge audience. Clifford Lee Sargent is his name. But they're marketed as book reviews. You know, they've got the name of the book, the author, and the words book review in the title. But I don't think that's the way that viral video from Criminale went.
Yeah, it is the most disturbing book I have ever read, Notice, by Heather Lewis. And he got 2 years ago, and he's got 464,000 views on it. However, it's not his most viewed video. There's one more above that. And I'm stunned, actually. When he did that Kindle lock-in about Amazon changing the way you own your Kindle books, you have 10 days to react. So he's got the number in there. But in the 4 months it's been up, he's had 992,000 views.
Right. That's almost, yeah. Well, you know what?
Almost a million.
Perfect storm of content there. You know, you've got a bunch of people out there who have Kindles who are at least perceive that they're losing some kind of value. So yeah, people are going to be interested in it. And I think he got in there pretty early. I think he kind of had a first mover advantage. You know, he kind of broke the story, so to speak. I don't think he necessarily broke the story, but he was one of the first in the BookTube community that I remember talking about it.
I agree with that as well. I think
he did. I think anytime you can get some breaking news in there, you've got a chance. If it's breaking news that your audience cares about.
The 2 years sober one, How I Quit Drinking, is his third video. I mean, we're only using Ollie as an example because he's someone we know.
Well,
someone who started,
and he's a success. I mean, I would consider him a success, wouldn't you?
I guess I would, but I am a big believer in people determining what is success for them. But I mean, I suppose he is, because he might not think he's a success if he compares himself to, I don't know, James McAvoy, maybe. Is it James McAvoy? Ben McAvoy.
Ben McAvoy.
You know, or somebody else who's got more than him. So, you know, where does it stop, right? I mean, I feel successful because I have, you know, I've got 2,400 subscribers, which is about 2,390 more subscribers than I thought I would ever get.
Well, you know, it's an unusual phenomenon that you see a lot of people on BookTube, if they do start talking about metrics or they do start talking about how their videos perform, you know, they start talking about whether or not the video was a success or whether or not their channel is a success or whether or not they personally as a booktuber is a success. But you don't very often hear people talking about defining what success is for them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I would imagine that, for example, Steve Donahue has a different benchmark for success for his channel than Criminale does. They may be similar, but, you know, I don't think, you know, I know Criminale's monetized his site and monetized his site effectively and does make some money from it. And he's done that without, as near as I can tell, I don't get the impression that he's inauthentic or insincere. You know, he's just monetized his channel well while being really authentic. I think on the other hand, Steve Donahue is just focused on authenticity, and money's just the last thing on his mind when it comes to his videos and his performance. You know, I think he likes to see a lot of action in the comments. But it just depends on what you define as success for yourself. Like, you know, we talked about a benchmark of $500 a month as being an initial goal to shoot for. And I think $500 a month is a great goal to shoot for, especially if you're not a professional marketer.
Well, yeah, I do think that's true. I mean, I guess it's good to point out that, you know, we don't go into BookTube, of course, for the money, because the idea that you would make anything worthwhile out of it is minuscule.
Right.
There's no harm in hoping that you have a little bit from it it's certainly in my case, I guess, to subsidize the hobby in terms of book buying. I mean, I live in a foreign non-English speaking country. If I buy the books, they're more expensive and I have to order them from abroad or have to, you know, it's a little bit harder. and especially being a local school teacher as well. Oh, poor Mark, let's play the violin. But, you know, being a school teacher on the post-communist salary does make it all a bit. So if I'm doing the hobby and I want to get books, it is nice to have a bit of money coming in. Now, of course, I'm not going to spend $500 on books every month, but I could. I probably could. So, but I want to just stop and have a go through the comments because.
Oh, good. Yeah, let's keep it in the comments.
So Helen says we all need some good luck in life.
Sorry.
Anodyne says howdy, Mark and Randy. Hi, chat friends. Kevin says Ollie had Elvis. Case closed. I don't know. Does Ollie have an Elvis as well? I don't know. We both got Elvises then. So who knows what's in store for me?
I think the plural of Elvis is Elvi, by the way, not Elvises.
Oh, well, has he got a cat or something called Elvis then?
Brock, settle down. I have a dog over here too. Brock, get over here and lie down. Be quiet.
Sorry. Ollie started his channel because he made a bet with his son. Yes, I remember that. It's because Ollie joined after me, and I joined the same time as Michael K. Vaughan. And I remember like that initial period of when we were all kind of around the same time. And of course, they've left me in their wake. But, you know, it's nice that we can still, you know, communicate on Voxer though. And I do think Ollie's a good guy. And I know sometimes we've clashed in the past over certain political views. I'm not a huge conservative or anything like that, but he's just slightly more left than I am. I'm more liberal, I suppose, to some degree. But certain issues we've clashed on, but we've always, you know, kept it polite and still get on when we have, you know, done any form of buddy read or anything. Helen, I love a list. Media Haven, I think that's right. Maybe Jane Austen. I'm not sure what you're referring to there, Libra Parody. So you talking about Jane Austen videos going viral? Yes, it seemed that Kindle videos really took off. That's right. I think that's true for a lot of people. I think I saw on MJ's channel. I've forgotten the name of it. MJ's channel. Reading this life.
Reading life.
Yeah.
Reading this life.
And I think one of her successful videos was also based around the whole Kindle Kobo thing. Aaron says, I found that individual book reviews don't necessarily get gradual, consistent reviews. From my experience, most individual book reviews tend to plateau a few days to a week. But I think, Aaron, it depends probably on the book review. I mean, I did
depends a lot on the book.
I did something a long time ago in my first few months of BookTube about Herodotus. And I put a lot of effort into doing, I don't know if it was like Herodotus books 1 and 2 or something like that. I can't remember, but I never completed it. But I'm still getting comments to this day on those, you know, from students and stuff who actually somehow seem to find it and talk about it, which is nice. Media Haven. If I had more strangers subscribe than family and friends, I'd call that success. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I do remember bullying the kids who were in like the 8th and 9th grade when I was on the cusp of 1,000, bullying them into pushing me over the edge. No, I'm only kidding, of course. Where am I? Kevin, he did a video with oh, really? Okay. You see, the problem is I just don't get time to watch enough BookTube. Unless I'm subscribed to a channel, I don't watch BookTube reviews, nor do my friends, although some do enjoy TikTok recommendations. Well, I guess, you know, Jim from Jim's reading and stuff. I can't remember. Oh my goodness. Jim's books, reading and stuff, or something like that.
Right.
Jim's reading books and stuff. He does. He's big on pushing the book reviews, but he does the shorts.
Right.
Doing these 1 minute or whatever they are, you know, 90-second.
Right. Yeah. Reviews. I was looking at those this morning, the 1 minute book reviews.
And I think, you know.
And he's published a lot of them.
Yeah. And maybe there's something to it because a lot of people don't have the attention span. You know, I see on my videos, generally speaking, I'm lucky if it averages 5 minutes, which actually I heard is not pretty good to still have an average view of 5 minutes on a video. But still, it's amazing when you put out a 20-minute video and you put your, you know, sweat into it, and then you realize that actually most people are only watching the first 3 to 5 minutes of it. But, you know,
right.
that's your personality. That's the way you catch them or hook them. You know, maybe that's something you can work on that can improve your status in this community, as it were. I agree. I might be the only one, but I enjoy book reviews. Helen, my BookTube watching has become like a full-time job. Well, it can be. It can be very, very addictive.
It can take up a lot of time.
Have you got a most successful video that you know of?
Me?
Yeah. Have you checked what it is? Or
my most successful video is how to own and operate a bookstore without going broke.
I remember that. Brilliant.
Yeah, although most of my experience involves owning and operating a bookstore and going broke. So, you know, just tell you to do the opposite of what I did. But yeah, that's probably my most popular. And then I have a few listicles that have done fairly well, but that one is far and away my most popular one because people love how-tos. How to, you know, aside from having a numeral in your headline, having the words "how to" in your headline also increases your click-through rate. People love to click on how-to stuff.
Maybe it would be fun to do amongst a small group of us a little challenge throughout the course of a week or a month where we incorporate these things into our videos and see, you know, what impact it has.
Right.
I think that could be kind of fun. I'd be up for that. Now I'm on some holidays. I'd definitely be up for something like that.
I saw something interesting. Greg over at Another Bibliophile Reads had a video not too long ago go viral.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the video he made about obscure books that nobody reads anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And so I watched it, you know, and he's picking up something like 1,000-page views every day or something for weeks on end. The video got something like 40,000, 50,000 page views, which is a lot for someone with a channel the size of Greg's. Yeah. And so I went and looked at it and I thought, okay, I'm going to try and make a video and I'm going to imitate everything he did in his video as closely as possible. We'll make it the same length. He spelled out the numeral in his headline instead of using an actual numeral. So I spelled it out in mine. Made my description very similar. And sure enough, that turned out to be one of my most successful videos too. It did much better than most of my videos did. So there was something about what he did with that particular video that tickled the algorithm somehow. And I saw someone else who had imitated his video even more slavishly than I did. And I don't know how well it did, but I know when I was researching it and looking through what he did with that video. But, you know, if you want to be Jack Edwards and have 1.5 million subscribers, you know, you might want to look and see what kind of videos Jack Edwards is making and make similar ones.
We might have to shave as well. You know, kind of look.
Yeah. I might have to be young and good looking again.
Presentable as well, yeah.
I've thought about launching a new BookTube channel and hiring some young stud to be the face of that BookTube channel, just to see if I could, you know, because I've seen young people recently come onto BookTube and they publish really consistently, but man, their channels took off.
Well, I mean, look at
I think being young and good looking really helped out a lot.
Look at Steve's friend, the one we were talking about before we came on.
Yeah, he's my friend too. But
sorry, I don't know how well you know. But he hasn't been down to stay with you, though, is he?
He was one I was thinking of too. I was actually going to invite him to come out and visit because I do have a spare room here. You need to come visit and stay in my spare room.
Don't you worry.
But there was someone, Joe Spivey.
Yeah.
You know, Joe Spivey's young, reasonably good-looking guy, and you know his channel took off. You know, but he's another one. He published very consistently at the beginning too. You know, you don't necessarily have to publish every day, but you know, if you're publishing Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. every day or 11 a.m. every day, I think consistency just really works for the algorithm a lot.
Just going to go back to
I think Joe Spivey's first big video that got a lot of traffic was Jordan Peterson. He was critiquing Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Jordan Peterson's a reasonably controversial author, self-help author. I think his self-help books are worse than usual, and self-help books are usually pretty bad.
His biggest one was 10 classics you, capitalized, should read with me in 2024, where he got almost 24,000 views.
Right.
But you see,
well, I've got a video like that with, here's some classic videos, classic books you should read too, and it did well for me also. I've got one coming up. I'm working on it. It's 50 books you should read in your 50s, and I have really high hopes for this video.
Yeah, I've seen those before. I mean, well, maybe the ones I've seen before are more like 50 books to read before 50, which is maybe something I could do.
Jack Edwards had one, and this is one of the advantages of being young. Okay, Jack Edwards had one, 20 books to read in your 20s. Well, there's an advantage to being young. You don't have to come up with as long a list.
My most popular one is BookTube Needs You, why you should start a BookTube channel.
I remember when you make that video.
10,000 views, but it still comes back every few months. I still get people on there saying thank you.
That's great. Well, yeah, it is fun too.
Sorry,
I think YouTube is fun, and I think BookTube is fun. And I know there was some controversy last weekend. My internet was down, so I missed out on all the controversy.
Well, we will talk a little bit about that. I don't want to get too much into it.
Speaking of controversy, you want to get page views? Just wait for one of these authors to misbehave and make a video about it. Neil Gaiman. Who was it before Neil Gaiman?
I have to say, Randy, I couldn't do that because
I always avoid those. Well, as far as I'm aware,
he's not been proven guilty of anything.
No, he's not. Cormac McCarthy was the other one recently. Yeah. But I'm not one.
Let me come back to this, Randy, because otherwise the comments get well away from me. So we do have a few here. Where are we? BookTube is full time. Grammatica's book reviews are good. Yes, actually, I do remember.
They are very good.
Seeing those, and yeah, it definitely has a knack for them. Oh, hi, Linda. Good to see you. Book reviews I did years ago still get hits, but nobody goes to the YouTube search engine to look for a 5-year-old reading wrap-up of Friday Reads. It's true, but, people do go. If they're classic books and it's a decent enough review, you type in, I don't know, Moby Dick, you might have, loads of different book reviews. And people are going to, of course, then maybe your thumbnail comes in handy because it's got to attract them to click on you. I'm not saying there aren't individual reviews that get gradual, consistent views, or that there are ones that take off. I've had both, but that doesn't seem to be true for most individual reviews. I think that's fair, Aaron. I do think that's fair, but I do also think it's the type of book. If I do a book review on Edgar Wallace's Sanders of the River or something, it's probably very unlikely it's going to get consistent views because there's probably only about 10 people in the world who read it each year, maybe. But if you do Middlemarch or something in between, maybe not a tier 1 classic, but a tier 2 classic, which could be an interesting thing to work out what could be considered tier 1 and tier 2, eh? But maybe the tier 2s are gonna get you a bit more views, probably. Where are we? Linda says depends on the book. Lots of people look for my blog article review of The Sound and the Fury. Yeah, there you go. Sorry, I'm just skipping somewhere. I can see it's 2 other people. Libra Parody says some viewers like the personalities don't take their book recommendations seriously. They watch the booktubers because they're entertaining like reality TV. Now that's a very interesting point. I'm just going to come back to that and just clear off your other ones that you've said here. I'm waiting for Jane Austen, the original Girl Gone Wild scandal. Yes. And Nocturnal Nasties, horror books and scary stories. I'm relatively new on BookTube, man. I don't like the drama. I join to hide from drama. Well, don't worry. It's not always like that. I can assure you. And hello to you, of course. Now, it's interesting, the whole personality thing, because it's true. I have some very good friends I've made on BookTube, but don't really watch their channels very much because they're not reading.
Like me.
They want to read. Sorry?
Well, like me, I'm a good friend.
Well, yeah, but I do watch you more than I watch other people.
Oh. Well, I can't imagine that, but okay.
Just because one doesn't. Well, if I see a new video drop by you, I tend to watch it. To be fair, I really do, and I'm not just saying that because you're here. But I will say, for example, Michael K. Vaughan, for example, really like him, but I don't watch a lot of his videos because I'm not interested in comic books. I'm not interested in some of the other stuff he does. He's a wonderful person. He's an entertaining presence on screen. And sometimes I will watch just for that reason. But I'm not watching every single thing that comes out. You know, and there are other good friends as well or other friends as well who it's the same thing. You know, they're great guys, great people, great guys and girls. Guys meant girls and boys in this context. And yet, you know, I've got no interest in science fiction. It's amazing Sean and I get on so well, really, because we don't read this. I mean, we do read the same things, but the thing he loves above all else means almost nothing to me, you know, which is science fiction. So I don't know. What I was going to say, going back, if you can remember where we were before I left off with the comments, is what do you think about it, though? Like, we're talking about this now. I think it's always difficult to discuss these analytics and channel growth and things like this on BookTube, because some people do think it's like a bit, you know, much should be beneath us or something like that, right? And shouldn't be something we should necessarily feel comfortable talking about, which kind of led in a little bit to the controversy last week with that other channel. But I think, I don't know, how do you feel, Randy? Do you really want to be another Ben McAvoy or the other one you mentioned who's got like 1 million?
Because Jack Edwards.
Because, or even, I don't know, even Criminology, I can barely respond to all the comments I've got in the last couple of days.
Oh yeah, it's almost impossible for me to keep up with the comments on my channels, and I've only got 2,000 subscribers.
Right? You know.
Well, you know, this is my feeling about it too, because you see a lot of these videos where people will say, you know, reading shouldn't be a competition. Well, maybe it should, maybe it shouldn't. Maybe it shouldn't be a competition for you, but it's okay if I want it to be a competition. You know, it's fine. It's no big deal. You know, some people don't believe you should have a TBR, and some people believe that you should. Well, it's okay. Whatever you like. It's whatever you enjoy. Some people like looking at analytics and figuring out how to optimize their videos and get more subscribers, and some people don't. And that's cool too. It's whatever you want to do. It's fine. But
the problem with the success, though, it feeds into making it less of a hobby success, you know, but feeds into it being less of a hobby and more of a chore, because then you're at that. Like, I don't, as I say, I have no idea about Ollie. You know, I've never spoken to him about things like this, but it's things that I would guess, right? That he probably doesn't make enough money from his channel to warrant it being a full-time job. However, he's putting in a lot of time and effort where it's like, you know, the amount of work he has to do for it, you know, it becomes like a part-time job, but he's not, you know, getting the benefit of it. So he's kind of stuck in that middle way between the comfortable levels of us and then the levels where, you know, if you're Jack Edwards, is it again? I can't remember his name. I don't know.
Yeah, Jack Edwards with his 1.5 million subscribers. He has 2 channels.
Yeah, but he probably pays people to deal with the channel.
Well, no, absolutely. Yeah, because he's got a budget for that sort of thing. He would have to, because, you know, he's making probably $10,000 or more a week.
A week?
Yeah.
Nice.
He's got 1.5 million subscribers, and his videos just get huge numbers of page views. So, you know, that's where it's at. And, you know, he found something that worked for him, and just, you know, that's the thing. You find something that works and you keep repeating it until it stops working. Mr. Beast does that too. You know, the most popular booktuber of all. But he's not a booktuber. He's just a
YouTuber.
Yeah, he's just a viral YouTuber. Yeah, stuntmeister, really.
But, you know,
I don't want to be the Mr. Beast of BookTube.
You already are, Randy. You already are. That's what the ladies
I would not mind. I would not mind being on a par with Criminology. But that's the thing, you know, it's just what you like. Some people like keeping up with metrics and scratching that itch, and some people just don't care. You know, but I don't think anybody should be shamed for any kind of approach to their reading lives or their BookTube lives. You know, it's whatever works for you.
Do you feel less valued, or do you feel you are less of a booktuber than, say, Criminology? because you've
No,
only got 2,000 subscribers?
no. I feel like I have a smaller audience, but I don't feel like I'm any less of a booktuber.
Does jealousy come into it for you sometimes with some people? I'm not talking about Ollie, but I'm talking about sometimes when, because I'm not going to lie, it does for me sometimes. When someone comes on and they've been on a few minutes, and if I, particularly if I think they're not that good, which of course I have my opinion, and then suddenly I wake up and I see they've got 7,000-8,000 subscribers. They've been on for 3 months. I've been, plugging away for 4 years, and personally, I think I'm, miles better in terms of personality and delivery. And
It does help to be young and good looking.
Yeah, it's true.
There's just no getting around it. I can attract, I think I'm a fairly attractive booktuber for people in their 50s, people in their 20s. Some of them like me, some of them don't. My daughter's got a friend who thinks I should write a book. And he never misses any of my videos. And, my daughter's friends are all in their 20s, but, I think he's an outlier. I don't think most people in their 20s are looking, although I don't know, some of these, we had an influx of new booktubers a while back who were all in their 20s, and several of them seemed to be watching my channel and talking about my book club. So,
Yes, but, you say this, right? Now, obviously, I'm very happy to be an attractive middle-aged man rather than an attractive 20-year-old.
Right.
So I don't mind too much. But we're saying about these youngsters not necessarily going for these old fogies. But, again, no disrespect, but our sprightly 28-year-old, 29-year-old friend does seem to attract younger age group to him. I mean, you have to look at, Joe Spivey, Christopher Russell, a couple of others. Micah Cummins was one of them. So these young guys, they're not ashamed to hang out with Steve and to, be part of his circle. So, I mean, in some respects, maybe the age doesn't matter. I don't know. I mean, look at Jim, you can't get more old.
I think it matters depending on what they read too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't read a lot of stuff that's going to be too attractive to young adults, Most of the stuff that comes in the Book of the Month Club, not going to be of much interest to older people, but it will for a lot of younger people. But I don't generally make a lot of content about my Book of the Month Club books, which is too bad because I got a whole bookshelf of them over there.
Daniel Green is a good example of personality. I don't know who that is.
I like Daniel Green. Yeah. He's an author and a booktuber, if I'm not mistaken, but I've read his books. The Fault in Our Stars is the book I remember mostly him for.
That's John Green, isn't it?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
I mean,
someone in the comments will know better than I would.
Randy Ray is a good example of a great personality.
Who said that?
Me.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
You poor bastard.
You do have a great personality, Randy. Come on. I mean,
I appreciate that.
That is one of the big draws to your channel, of course, that kind of Southern hospitality, as it were.
I think,
Rand.
I've heard that people get a kick out of it when I wander off on a tangent. I'm not sure that people are too interested in what I have to say about the topic I'm talking about. They're just hoping that my mind will wander.
Well, I'm noticing one of the more popular things, and I might actually make it a thing now on my channel, are my terrible, terrible accents that I do. They're becoming.
Oh my God, they're pretty bad.
They're pretty bad, but they're popular. So there's almost a comedic value in it. So
You know who else does a really funny accent is a couple of years ago for June on the Range, Read by Fred did a Texas accent, and I just fell off my couch. I was laughing so hard at that. Do you remember that?
Read by Fred's accent? I don't
Yes, when he was doing June on the Range, it was so funny. You're right, it was John Green. Yeah. I looked it up.
Helen, I left a comment on Debs' channel to that effect. I come for the books, but stay for the people. Media Haven, what do you consider a healthy publishing schedule for someone just starting? So I'll hand that over to you, Randy. What do you think is a healthy publishing schedule?
I think you should publish at least once a month and probably not more than once a day.
At least once a month.
Yeah, somewhere between once a month and once a day. Once a week's probably better than once a month. Once a day, probably better than once a week.
I would say definitely consistency. So you have
it would be better to be consistent and publish something every Monday than it would be to do what I do. You can see how higgledy-piggledy my videos come out.
Yeah, it's the same.
I think that's one of the things that slowed the growth of my channel is I just haven't been consistent at all.
Yeah, and I don't know, what do you think about, because I think I've done it, you can count on the on one hand, the number of times on one hand that I've done this. What about the whole, because I read somewhere, or I watched one of these videos where it does maybe work when you tell people to like and subscribe, or you ask people to like and subscribe. And I never do that.
I don't do it either. I've done it once or twice, but I always find myself laughing at myself.
Yeah.
It's like, how seriously can I take this? I have a friend, young woman, very attractive young woman, and she's an alcoholic like most of my friends are. And she's in recovery now, like most of my friends are. But when she was drinking, she'd run out of money and she thought about becoming a stripper. But she just doesn't see herself as sexy. She realizes she's attractive and got a great body and stuff. But she said she was just giggling too hard to be effective as a stripper.
Yeah, I guess it could be one of those things where
when I ask for likes and subscribes, I feel like a stripper.
Well,
nobody wants to put $1 in my G-string.
I'm sure there's an OnlyFans outlet for that, Randy.
Somebody does, but who knows?
Yes. Well, Oh, I did see a horrific thing. Speaking of OnlyFans, by the way, I was reading something popped up on my Facebook thing. It was it was nothing dodgy. It was normal news. This trashy celebrity news. But there's this woman in Brazil. She's like 37, 38 years old. She has an 18-year-old son, and her son films her OnlyFans videos. Wow, indeed.
That's all I have to say about that.
And then the other day I was flipping through the reels, or whatever they're called, the shorts on YouTube, and there was this Southern girl, and she's like, "Howdy, y'all," blah blah blah. And I thought, oh, she must be an OnlyFans model, right? Because they always use it for their marketing or whatever, YouTube, Instagram.
Right.
I clicked on her whole link thing, and it's like, my Amazon wish list, blah blah blah, my OnlyFans, and then under that it said my mom's OnlyFans.
Oh my goodness!
I thought, oh my gosh, Jesus, the world is surely in trouble. Well,
it's funny. I've got a friend, little leprechaun looking dude. And we were talking about a woman we both knew, just a mutual acquaintance. And he said, "Oh, I love her OnlyFans page." And I was like, "I didn't know she had an OnlyFans page." He said, "Oh yeah, it's great." And I said, "How do you know that she's got an OnlyFans page?" He said, "Well, I asked her." I said, "What made you think to ask her?" He said, "I ask every woman I know if she's got an OnlyFans page."
You think it's going to be one of those things in the future where you meet
generational thing, man?
You meet people, they're just going to give you out their business card with the QR code for their OnlyFans or what?
I just cannot imagine asking every woman I know if she has an OnlyFans page or not.
But someone told me, and I don't know, I can't remember who told me, and I don't know who it was, but apparently there was some well-established booktuber who decided to make that crossover to OnlyFans to make more money, I suppose.
There you go.
So Randy, if things get too hard, you know where you can go.
Well, I can tell you this: books is not the most profitable niche in the world. If you want to try to make money on YouTube, there are plenty of niches you can get involved with that are going to be more profitable than books.
You see, we should make this a weekly discussion, because you could take us through different things each week about this, because it would be very good. But I want to go back to comments, and then if we remember, because we've both got memories where we go off on tangents, to talk about another possible or some niche you can maybe make a buck if it's something you really need.
I've got plenty of ideas for niches where you can make real money. Because,
So
I've made my living on the internet for 20 years.
Yeah. Aaron, I think some booktubers have a very precious attitude about what is a legitimate aim of a BookTube channel and what is not. Yes, I think that is fair. They have an attitude towards someone who wants success, like some Victorians would regard people they regarded as being below the salt for being in trade. Randy, you are BookTube's milk tray man.
BookTube's what man?
Milk tray man. He was a Lothario in the 70s and 80s. He would carry this a box of Cadbury's milk tray chocolates, and he would like swing through windows and leave it on the bed before the women went to sleep. And I think so, unless I'm wrong, but
well, that's fascinating. That's a compliment I haven't received before.
Hi guys,
but I like it.
I caught that, Mark. Yeah, sorry, Jim.
Hey, Jim.
Hello, chat. I have a very slow-growing channel. I don't get jealous of more successful booktubers, but I do feel distressed because I don't know how to fix my channel to make it better. Yes, I remember you saying in a comment on another video I made, Linda. I mean, I wish I knew. Actually, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure if we do make this a regular discussion, maybe we'll be able to brainstorm and come up with things together. I don't know if what it comes down to with regards to the regularity of your consistency of your publishing and things like that, Linda. Maybe it's something you can look at. Media Haven, my wife and I are reading the River World series together, and every action she tries devolves into Scottish. Okay. Linda, if you get lots of subscribers or are making money with YouTube, I'm happy for you. I'm not here for the money. I just want to think my video making efforts are worth doing. I think that's fair. I mean, none of us are making any money, any coin, any real coin out of this at all. But yeah, there's certainly
You're not stacking that cheddar over there, Mark.
Sorry,
you're not stacking that cheddar.
Well, that's it. You don't see what's in the bedroom. Like, yeah, that's true.
Fat stacks, yo. Mad money, yo.
Mark does a good impression of Jim from Mystery and Mayhem. Does he? I don't know. Does he? Hello, everybody. No, I can't do it. What's that all about? What's that all about? I know. I can't do a Jim impression. I don't think it was me. I think it was. I don't know who used to do it, but yeah. Liberal Parody, so like and subscribe never works for me. If anything, I go the opposite direction. Maybe you could try just once with some likes. Not sure, Michelle, which one you mean there. Because talking about stripping, Randy stripping on his channel. Obviously, that might be the reaction there, Randy.
We can do you can leave your hat on.
Jeez.
Y'all didn't know what you're signing up for when you signed into this video today.
Mark, you should do a Fred Jackson like Officer Crabtree from Hello when you do. Yes, I was thinking about something like that for Les Miserables. Los Miserables. Good morning. I was pissing by. Yes, that's right. It's that kind of party. Everybody has to have some fun, right? Roy's here from Roy Reads.
Hey, Roy.
It says FYI, I do not have an OnlyFans page. I don't believe I've ever been to that site. Well, I've never been to the actual site, Linda. I do want to clarify that. Believe me, I don't have money to throw away on nonsense like that. Certainly,
no comment.
I think if you do ask every woman you know, the number of women you know will be shorter. Yeah, are you on OnlyFans? But actually, the weird thing with people today and young people today, some might take that as a compliment.
Oh, sure.
Wow. Have you got an OnlyFans page?
Well, the thing is, it's a business. You want subscribers.
Yeah.
You want people to pay that monthly subscription fee. This particular woman that he was talking about, I would have probably paid a monthly subscription fee for.
Mm-hmm.
For at least a month.
At least a month. Isn't the first month free?
Wouldn't that be nice?
I honestly don't know. Oh my goodness.
I don't either. I think it varies. I think it varies from one. I think it varies from one OnlyFans member to another. But I have a lot of friends who are, burlesque dancers in Dallas and stuff. OnlyFans is no big deal to me. When I owned my bookstore, this was a lot of fun. When I owned my bookstore, we had a glamour model, a cheesecake model who participated, and she was marvelous, statuesque blonde. But I have a friend named Brian, and when he realized that she was a cheesecake model on the internet and also had an OnlyFans page, he immediately got up from our book club meeting where we were all sitting in a circle discussing the book, walked back to my desk so that he could look up her web pages.
I thought you were going to say you walked out on like religious grounds or something.
It was so obvious. Once he found out that she had nude pictures on the internet, he beelined it from my computer to look them up. And it was so obvious what he was doing. And she was right there, she might have been sitting next to him. Very entertaining.
I think more people do it than we know. Yeah, for sure they do. And I think it's sad because some people really genuinely try to do it to supplement their income. There's been a spate of public school teachers in America and other places being caught out doing this kind of stuff. There was one even in Glasgow in Scotland recently who did it. Lou, as a teacher myself, I can assure you it's not going to be a road I'm going down. But instead of what's your sign, what's your OnlyFans? Indeed. MJ's here. Hi, MJ. What did I just walk
MJ, hey. What up? What up?
Oh dear. What did I just walk into? Well, yeah, I ask myself that every day. So
you missed the part where I was doing my striptease.
I follow one woman now, Val. Is this on YouTube or is this on OnlyFans? I'm guessing it's probably YouTube. I follow one woman that makes Victorian and other older era clothing. As a joke and test, she made one that was all about showing the ankle in period clothing. She got followers but closed it now. Oh, okay. So it was a joke done on OnlyFans. Because I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, you might know this, but I don't think OnlyFans was meant to be what it became. Wasn't it like a
No, I don't think it was originally.
Rival to Patreon or something like that, where like literally we could have had one instead of having patrons. Patreon.
I think you're exactly right.
Which
I wouldn't swear to it, but I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, I think it was something like that. But Milk Tray Man was James Bond with chocolates. Yeah.
Okay, I'll take that. James Bond with chocolates.
Definitely.
Or it could be that guy. You remember the song? Hey, I'm your friendly stranger in your black sedan. Won't you hop inside my car? Remember that?
No.
I got pictures, got candy. I'm a lovable man, and I can take you to the nearest star. You don't remember that at all?
I'm an English guy. I might not know it. If it was an ad commercial or something, we probably didn't have it. So.
Oh, I'm going to have to send you the song. It's classic.
So we got Wednesday nights YouTube advice with Randy Ray, and then what we're having Thursday nights karaoke with Randy Ray as well, or what?
I was huge when I drank. I was a huge karaoke nut. As long as I got my karaoke in once or twice a week and my shuffleboard games in once or twice a week, I was happy as I could be.
When I was living in Japan, you couldn't keep me away from the karaoke.
Love it.
Almost every night. My go-to, and I almost remember the karaoke number in my local bar, but my go-to are things like Angel by Shaggy and gosh, goodness knows, I can't remember other things. But it was always fun because drunk Japanese businessmen would be in there. And it was a small town, and they would be singing, I don't know, Frank Sinatra or...
I do a lot of Sinatra karaoke.
Carpenters or whatever. And then they would spy, me.
Neil Diamond.
Me and maybe another Anglo-American Canadian guy or whatever sitting there, and they would come up and they would say, "Will you sing with us? Will you sing for us?" And then they would pay your bar bill. And I always felt like a stripper myself for a while.
There you go.
Yeah, I know. You could get adopted by Japanese businessmen in those days. I don't know what happens now, but yeah, it was used to be a lot of fun. But anyway, Linda says, "I've been inconsistent because financial pressures, discouragement, and of course that 2020 forest fire." Oh yeah, that's right. On your house, I remember that. And I'm in a stable home again now, finally. Yeah, well, if you're stable now's the time to think of a schedule, I would say, of just because I think what's gone in the past doesn't matter. You can, build it up that way. And maybe, I don't know how much you put yourself out there, Linda, in terms of subscribing and commenting on new booktubers. That could probably help you as well. Because I think, I don't think, and maybe Randy, you'll agree with me on this or not, but when you reach our level, getting a shout out from someone like Ollie or Michael or Steve isn't going to do anything anymore.
Not much.
Because they know us. Like, those people know us from these events. They know us from June on the Range. If they were going to subscribe to us, they would have done so already.
Yes.
So for us to get shout outs, we need to get it from your mate, what's his face, with 1 million.
Jack Edwards.
Yeah,
I don't think he does a lot of shout outs.
No, you never know.
His channel is fascinating, though.
No, I've never watched him. I don't really know anything about him.
Fascinating channel. But I'm a big fan of Better Than Food. That's because it flies in the face of the traditional wisdom. People say nobody watches book reviews, but tell that to Better Than Food. I mean, he's doing this for a living, and all he does is book reviews on his channel. That's it. I think once a year he'll do these are the top 5 books I read last year. But other than that, it's straight up every video is a book review, and he does maybe between 2 and 4 book reviews a month.
Mm-hmm. And is he reviewing newer books or older books?
Is he reviewing what now?
Is he reviewing like current newer books, or is he reviewing older books?
No, more literary type stuff, but like darker literary type stuff.
Okay. Oh, he's got 200,000 subscribers.
Yep.
Off 373 videos.
Yeah, and he's terrific, by the way.
See, that's the thing, isn't it? When you boil it down, like, okay, some people have channel growth probably due to longevity on BookTube. I mean, I think even Steve would say probably a big part of that is the fact he's been on BookTube for so long. But, if you look, I don't know how many videos you've made, Randy, but I've got 2,400 subscribers with 750, let's say, videos. And when you work that out,
right, yeah,
how many subscribers per video, it's not that great, really. I mean, it's still great.
Let me look at mine. I think I've got a similar tale to tell. All right. My vision's starting to go. 200,000 subscribers is a lot of subscribers, though.
Yeah, that's a lot.
For a channel that does exclusively book reviews, too.
Yeah, it's true. You're absolutely right.
Okay, so here's my channel. Okay, view your channel. I have 2,000 subscribers on 236 videos.
Say that again.
Yeah,
sorry.
So I have 2,000 subscribers on 236 videos.
Well, I mean, that's like 10 per video.
It's a little less than 10 per video, probably more like 9 per video. But is that a good ratio? I don't know.
I don't know either. Your ratio is better than mine because I probably get 3 or 4 per video.
Well, I'm very entertaining.
Think about Steve. If you think about, he's got 20,000, but he's got 15,000 videos.
Right.
The
50 greatest books of all time with Randy's comments on each is my second most popular video, and it's had 4,500 views.
Mm-hmm.
But my most popular videos got twice that, 10,000. How to start and own a bookstore without going broke.
Because that's another thing. The views can also be depressing. Like we mentioned before with Criminoli's most successful video having close to 1 million views, but he's still at the end of the day got 50,000 subscribers. So that's 450,000 people who watch that video,
right? Not
to subscribe to him. And I don't know, because I get upset by that sometimes when I see, oh wow, I've got 10,000 views on that video. Oh crikey, that's like 8,000 people who dislike me enough or don't like me enough to subscribe to me. So yeah.
Well, so I've got 8 videos with 1,000-page views or more, and the rest of mine are all less than 1,000-page views. So it's a very small number of videos that, I consider my videos a success if they hit 1,000-page views. So that's just my benchmark. And so for the most part, most of the videos on my channel aren't very successful by my own measuring stick. But it's my measuring stick. I can change it anytime I want to.
Yes, you can, sir. Yes, you can.
And it's fun,
I'm really falling behind with the comments. So
let's get back to the comments. They're way more interesting than me.
Mark's Jim impression descended into Scottish. I don't know what you're talking about, Helen. He's Canadian, At Reading This Life, we're all now starting OnlyFans for Garb August. Hey, y'all. Nope. We need Ollie to create OnlyFans names for all of us. I'm not actually. Are you in Garb August, Randy? I'm not.
I'm a co-host this year.
Wow. Okay.
I'm one of the real. You got to be really elite to be a co-host for Garb August. There's not many of us.
So I've heard. I've never managed to climb that particular Olympus, but I'm sure I'll get over it.
I'll see what I can do about pulling some strings for you.
It's all right, buddy. It's all right. Believe me. It's just not my thing, to be honest.
Garb August?
Just some of the stuff. I think it's
I've got a great Garb August TBR this year. I'm really proud of it. I got prepared for it a couple of months ago, and I've got the books all stacked up on a shelf by themselves, just raring to go. But I've got some serious reading to do before July is over too.
Yeah, a cheesecake model. I think Randy means like a glamour model, like a Playboy model. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. YouTube. I follow her on YouTube, but she opened OnlyFans for a joke. Okay. I'm your vehicle, baby. I'll take you anywhere.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, Lou's
I'm your vehicle, baby.
Lou's from Texas.
Take you anywhere you want to go.
You're from Lexus. You're from Texas as well, aren't you, Lou? I think. Michelle and Goldie, the Victorian channel is Bernadette Banner. She has an amazing channel, but that was hilarious. The ankle. You see, unfortunately, we're quite far behind. Saying please sing it. Where's the conversation going? Mark, we need you to give us your best rendition of "It Wasn't Me" by Shaggy at some point. Shaggy. Shaggy, I was at a party and this very petite, shy Philippine grandfather got up and in perfect match pitch rocked us like a hurricane. That's wonderful. Wonderful. I do like a bit of Mr. Boombastic, really fantastic. Jack Edwards has a great channel. I'll have to look into Jack Edwards. I probably never watched it yet. Me neither.
Here I am giving press to Jack Edwards, who doesn't need it.
What have you interviewed people? What are you referring to? I'm interviewing Randy right now, aren't I?
We're interviewing each other, Mark.
Yeah, I know, buddy. I know.
I'm your Ed McMahon.
I blame Jane Austen, the original OnlyFans girl, for derailing this stream. Jim was here. Seen that? Yes.
Wait, did something get derailed?
Your ratio is better than mine, Mark. Ben McAvoy has 160k subscribers with only 178 videos. I know, it's amazing. I wonder if they delete a lot of their old content, though, sometimes.
I don't think he has deleted a lot of old content.
Yeah, he got that.
Because I don't know. I've looked back through it, and, he got his start doing videos, giving advice to people who wanted to get into Oxford or other elite universities. It wasn't really a BookTube channel at first.
Okay.
It was more of a student advice channel at first. And I think that was also true of Jack Edwards. Jack Edwards was a student who started a YouTube channel and talked mostly about his life as a student. And it kind of segued into becoming a BookTube channel.
I've just put up a video of my most viewed videos. My most popular video is 4.8 thousand views on a Christian biography about a missionary family in China. Gareth is here. Hello.
Hey, Gareth.
Aren't most of those million views bots, Mark? I don't know. You have to ask Ollie. I'm delayed because I had to watch Taskmaster. My most successful video is not about books. It's about Matchbox cars. Well, maybe, Jim, that's what you need to be concentrating on, perhaps. Many people who watch YouTube don't have accounts and can't like and subscribe. But that's a good point. That is a good point. So they're still counting the views, even though those people aren't logged in. Yeah. Hi, MJ. Bring someone in who has a YouTube channel who is famous. That's right. So there you go. For next week, Randy, get Jack Edwards to come in for an interview with us. Okay.
All right. I'll start working on him.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Lou. I'm from Arkansas, but I live in Tennessee. Nice, you singing bombastic. Mark, you haven't been on our show yet, mate. Although you have been on my own. I have. That's true. I should come on your show while I'm on summer holidays, while you can get me, because I have a very demanding schedule. Now, Randy, I think we're going to have to leave off soon because I have to take my little Elvis out for a walk before.
Elvis needs walk.
But I would like to just finish by saying that it's generally combination, we can say, luck and hard work.
Oh, yeah. So are we going to do this again next week, same times?
I'm very happy to, if you're up for
Let's do it. Let's plan on it.
Okay, so everybody.
And I'll see what I can do about getting Jack Edwards to join us. If I can't get him, maybe I can get Clifford Lee Sargent from Better Than Food, or maybe we can get Ben McAvoy.
There you go.
Before we leave, let me point out one thing about Benjamin McAvoy, okay? So we were talking earlier about how putting numerals in your headlines will increase the click-through ratio. And the phrase how to has the same effect. If you look at Ben McAvoy's videos, he posts about one a month now, and it's always how to read blank. So it might be, how to read Jane Austen, or how to read Blood Meridian, or whatever. And we all know how to read these books. I mean, you start from the left and move to the right on page 1, and you turn the pages when you finish them. But putting that how to in there is increasing his click-through ratio a lot more than if he just said, okay, here's a review of Blood Meridian. Or here's a preview. That how to, that expression how to, that's driving at least some of his traffic.
For an experiment then, Randy, between now and next week's video, let's put out one video following the advice that we've talked about, the points we've the points we've discussed.
All right.
Possible things we've discussed. I think we should give it a go.
Let's do it.
Yeah? All right then. So we'll just do it randomly, different days, whatever.
Yep. I'm gonna use the words how to in a video title and see if I can't get some success from it.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. All right then. So thank you very much for joining me.
I really enjoyed this.
Me too.
Please mash that like and subscribe button, folks.
Yes, and do head over to Randy's channel if you're not subscribed to the Literate Texan to check out.
The Literate Texan. I need people to come to the Literate Texan and subscribe and love me.
Definitely.
So that my life has meaning.
Wonderful. So thank you again, everybody. And hopefully see you all next week.
This was a great idea, Mark.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.